Insta360 is a company that has released a lot of innovative products over the years. That's why I appreciate them. They are creatives, innovators, inventors, and they push the envelope, which is very good. Now, this is a brand new smartphone gimbal that was released maybe about a month ago or so. And while they could have gone out and just replicated another smartphone gimbal on the market, instead they went crazy and they created this, which is a gimbal and more like a two-in-one device. And it has some flaws, but it has some crazy features as well that are kind of nuts and kind of cool. So let's check this thing out. This is the Insta360 Flow Creator Kit, and it comes in a nice white box. Here is everything that is included: some manuals and a quick start guide, a headlamp light, a USB-C cable, a phone mount holder, a USB-C to lightning cable, a silicone grip, USB-C charging cable, and a strap. Then you get to the gimbal itself, which I have to say is different, interesting to look at. You open it up and it turns on, and it has some great little design features. At the base, there is a tripod mount, but you don't need a mini tripod. There is a mini tripod built in. You pull it down and fold it out, and now you are all set. Need more stability? Well, you can extend the legs. It's not the most sturdy iteration of a mini tripod, but if you are in a situation where you either have a tripod or you don't, then you will be happy to have this one at least built in. Next up, you have this handle, which is fine on its own, but the silicone cover makes it better. It's grippy, and it makes for a more substantially secure feeling. Here are all of the controls. They're fairly simple looking, but there is some complexity. You have a directional switch, record button, power button, mode change button, and 4 little lights at the top that indicate battery level as well as mode. To the right, there is a USB-C port for charging, and around the back, there is a trigger button. The first axis is the one that locks this gimbal for storage, and then you have a very long arm, which is transparent on the outside with some branding. This is very well done, and it's cool to see these little circuit boards on the inside. There's even a little Think Bold etched into one of them. Then you have 2 more pivot points right next to each other with a USB-C port, which you can use to connect to your smartphone and charge it if you run out of battery. The mount is magnetic and very strong and nice and easy to use because you really can't mess it up. Now, the great thing is you don't need to balance your phone on this gimbal. You mount the mounting bracket in the middle of your phone, snap it into the top axis via a magnet, and you are all set. It is stabilized and ready to go. Want to shoot vertical? You can grab your phone and rotate it, or press the button on the controller, and the gimbal is balanced for vertical or horizontal shooting. And to top everything off, this thing has a built-in selfie stick that you can extend and then rotate like this, so you can get an extra 12 inches or so of wide angleness. So the first thing that I wanted to test out was the Flow's stabilization. So let's take a look at some video that was stabilized on my phone with this little gimbal.
Who am I without you?
Alright, so that is pretty good, and for reference, I have an iPhone 13 mini, and it works exceptionally well because this is a very lightweight phone, but it works great with my wife's heavier iPhone 14 Pro as well. Now, if you are wondering if you need a gimbal for your smartphone or whether you're okay with just using it handheld, well, take a look at these side-by-side videos. One is with the gimbal and one is simply handheld, and I did try to walk smoothly as best as I could, and you can decide whether or not the added stability is worth it. For me, it's a significant difference if I am trying to get that smooth floating look. Now, you do have to adjust the way that you use this gimbal, and what I mean by that specifically is because of this design and because these 2 axis points are so close to one another, in a normal gimbal where you can go from low slung mode up to a normal mode, it doesn't change the horizon. But with this, there's just not enough range for the gimbal to do that. So What you have to do is you kind of have to just move the entire gimbal up and down like this. And if you do want to get some low angle shots, you can flip it just like that upside down and do it. But again, if you want to go from this point up, the best way to do it is to pull it from this point up versus trying to do this rotation because there's just not enough range. And this is one of the big complaints about this gimbal. I didn't like it at first, but then I just simply adjusted how I used it, and really I didn't complain about it after that. It works really well, and the pan follow mode is by far my favorite to maintain that level horizon. The other byproduct of this little short distance up here is that you can on occasion see the gimbal in the corner of your shot at certain angles. But that's also something that you have to adjust and get used to because there is this pivot point here that can be rotated, and then if you are trying to take a selfie like this, the gimbal arms won't really get into your shot. I was just trying to use it like this and it got into mine. So on its own, just as a gimbal, perhaps it's not an overly compelling argument as a must-have gadget for your smartphone, but when you switch over to the intelligent features of this gimbal, really that's where this thing blew me away, and I wasn't expecting any of this. If you are worried that this gimbal might be too complicated to figure out, well, don't. I thought the same at first, but when I downloaded the app and connected the gimbal to my phone, it automatically walked me through a simple tutorial that answered most of my questions. The real highlight of this gimbal is all of the AI tracking features. I've talked about this when Sony was releasing some of their new camera models, but when you look at what this gimbal is capable of, in most cases, it's better than what you get from the newer Sony camera bodies, and this is a very small fraction of the price of any of those new cameras. There really is a lot here. I'm going to hit the highlights because to make a real in-depth video, I'd need probably 30 minutes of your time. So to start, we have the Insta360's Deep Track 3.0 or subject tracking. You can simply create a box on your phone screen and the gimbal will track what you have highlighted to a great level of accuracy. This also works while zooming and moving around in slow-mo, and it's powered by AI, so it is smart enough to recognize a subject even from a different angle. This is crazy when you think about it. You can track a person or an object even if it hasn't seen a side of it to begin with. Then you have person re-identification, which locks onto a subject even if there is something that obstructs the view. Let's say your subject runs out of the frame really fast. Well, this gimbal has what is called subject recovery, so it can move and even zoom out to regain the subject back into the frame. Speaking of zooming, this little knob around the controls does just that. It has a few different functions, but you can easily switch between lenses on your iPhone and zoom in and out with this control wheel. And then you have gesture control, which is crazy. What you do is you put your hand up to your phone, it counts down from 3, 2, 1, and it starts the recording. And it will move and it will track you no matter where you go. And when you are done recording and you're ready to stop, you simply put your hand up and it stops the recording. That's crazy. I mean, if you have your hands full, if you're running a cooking channel or something on YouTube, this is invaluable. It's like having a cameraman right there next to you. And to add icing to the cake, you can use live mode, which allows you to use the AI tracking in the background while you are FaceTiming or chatting or whatever else. And this is all just a small snippet. There is a time shift mode, motion time-lapse, barrel roll, dolly zoom, windscreen mode. You can create auto panoramas up to 360-degree panoramas. And if you don't know what to shoot or how, you can use the Shot Genie as a template and inspiration to create a cinematic creative video without thinking much about it. And I'm going to stop there because I think that is a lot of information, enough to get a sense of what this thing is capable of. And the price of this, it starts at $160 US, which is a lot for a phone gimbal, but it's not a lot when you factor in all of the other features. I read a lot of reviews about the Insta360 Flow before I got it, and before it came in, I had already made up my mind about it. I didn't think it was all that. But after a few days of playing around with it, it is all that. It's better than I expected in a dozen different ways. Is it flawless? No. I do think that the limited tilt range is not the best, and the fact that the arm is in the way sometimes is a small issue, but overall, I can't ignore the brighter aspects of what this smart gimbal is capable of. And I can't wait to use it more and incorporate it into my workflow. I can imagine using this a lot for Instagram Reels and for YouTube Shorts, But could you imagine if they came out with something like this that could do all of this with an APS-C camera? That would be insane. If I could mount an A6100 and have all of that AI tracking me, that would be crazy time. But let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. If you are interested in checking out more information about this and reading up on all of the features and checking prices, I'll have that linked down in the description below, so definitely check that out. Stay tuned for more. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.